We're looking today at four dangerous types of churches. Churches I refer to as bird churches. What is a bird church, you ask? Well, it's not a compliment. As a matter of fact, it's a big problem. Seems to me that there are a lot of bird churches around these days. We'll talk about four kinds of bird churches today: the ostrich church, the parrot church, the baby chick church, and the peacock church. And if you recognize your church as any one of these four, you might want to think about finding a new church. Let's jump right in. Let's start with the ostrich church. These are the churches where the church leaders are cowards. And instead of actually addressing issues, resolving conflict when it occurs, instead of actually expecting the members to be involved, instead of expecting the members to continually grow in their spiritual maturity, instead of preaching and teaching on the parts of the gospel that may go against the current social narrative, they just stick their heads in the sand and act like everything's okay. Now, it turns out that ostriches don't actually bury their heads in the sand to avoid problems. If they had, they probably would be extinct by now. That's a myth that got started at some point. Well, it turns out that church leaders don't actually physically stick their heads in the sand either, but you get the point. We just want everyone to come to church and be happy. We want church to be a safe space for people where they can come and be comfortable. Well, guess what? Being comfortable and relaxing isn't how anyone grows. Go to your job and just be comfortable and relax, and it's only a matter of time before you get fired. Go to the gym and only do the exercises that are comfortable and relaxing, and you wasted both your time and your money. Go to the ostrich church where the focus is on being comfortable, relaxing, avoiding any conflict or stress, ignoring the uncomfortable parts of the Bible. And once again, you've wasted both your time and your money, and worst of all, you won't grow spiritually. Let's move on to the peacock church. These are the churches that seem a lot more interested in putting on a good, flashy show than anything else. Check their website with their flashy videos about their high-energy services, their dynamic preacher, the exciting activities for the kids. It's all about the show, about entertaining and making a big splash that attracts people. I remember several years ago on an international business trip with some colleagues. We were in an area where we always traveled as a group and had security with us on all our local meetings and activities outside of the hotel where we were staying. Accordingly, we spent about 15 or 16 hours a day with each other over the course of that week and had some downtime for casual conversations as we commuted from one place to the other or had our meals together. I remember very clearly one of my colleagues telling me about how much he liked the new church he started going to. This was a well-known church in the town we were from. I asked him what it was he liked about that church. He explained that the speaker, a well-known pastor in town, always had a very upbeat and positive message to share, and how the singers and band were always energetic and uplifting. I'd heard that kind of stuff from others, so no surprise there. But what he said next was the bit that really caught my attention. He shared that what he really liked best about it was that they welcomed you to come to their services, but never got all preachy and set any expectations that you needed to change anything about your lifestyle. You were okay the way you were. Really? A church that never talks about needing to change your lifestyle? Didn't Paul say we need to be transformed? Didn't Jesus say we needed to take up our cross daily? Didn't Peter tell everyone to repent? Didn't James say that faith without works is a dead faith? And isn't Peter the one that said to strive for holiness, because without holiness no one will see the Lord? If your church is putting on a good show, but not focused on the changes that every one of us needs to make in our lives, you're going to a peacock church. All show and no substance. Get out before it's too late. Next up is the parrot church. These are the politically correct, adapting the gospel to basically parrot whatever the world is saying. They take phrases like God is love and use it to say that He'll love everyone regardless of what they do. So relax, you're okay just the way you are. These churches are characterized by talking about and displaying the same things that are being talked about by the world. They pervert the meaning of the rainbow. They divide and place guilt on people because of the color of their skin. They pretend there are no distinction between men's and women's roles in the church. They say we shouldn't talk about sin in our churches because it's not welcoming and makes people uncomfortable. You can be sure that these churches avoid Bible verses like James 4:4. Do you not know that friendship with the world makes you an enemy of God? Verses like, lean not on your own understanding, will seldom, if ever, be a topic of conversation in one of these churches. These parrot churches are lost. They are friends with Satan, not with God. These parrot churches should be avoided at all cost. Finally, the baby chick church. These are the churches that just keep doing the same things over and over, but never growing, maturing, or getting out of the nest. These are the churches that confine themselves to their church building and have very little interaction with the real world. See, a lot of us probably have been thinking that my church is nothing like one of those first three bird churches. But this type of bird church may be the most common. Size doesn't matter at all for this type of church. It could be a few thousand members, it could be a couple hundred, it could be a couple dozen. Denomination doesn't matter for these baby chick churches. These churches can develop within any denomination. And these churches are usually characterized by a sense of pride, thinking they're the only ones who do church the right way, and by a lot of focus on their processes. This is the way we do things. This is the way we've always done things. We don't need to grow. We've got it figured out. It's that very attitude that makes them a baby chick church. Thinking that you've got it figured out is the first step to not growing. The first step to being a baby chick church. Do you recognize anything about your church in any of these four bird churches? These churches may be fun, they may be comfortable, they may be what we're used to. But are they helping us to truly be holy as God is holy? It's clear to me that they're not. The ostrich church sticks its head in the sand and never deals with real issues. The peacock church is all about the show, but really weak on true Christian growth. The parrot church is just a deception to follow along with the world. And the baby chick church is just coasting along doing what they've always done, never getting out of their comfortable routines and maturing in their faith. I just want to close by asking you to take a couple minutes and think about your church. Is it characterized by one of these four bird church descriptions? If it is, get out. You're putting your soul at eternal risk. And if you can't find a church in your area that doesn't operate like one of these, then start your own. Find a few Christians who truly want to be Christ-like. Meet in one of your homes, study the Bible together, pray together, take the Lord's Supper together, share a meal together. Being a church doesn't require all the trappings that our culture has added to God's design. It can be very simple and far more meaningful than being a part of one of these bird churches. I hope I've given you some things to consider. Thanks for listening. God bless you on your journey.